My name is Olga Shpak, and I'm Ukrainian born and raised, Russian scientist, because in mid-90s I moved to Russia to study whales, and this is what I've been doing. And this is where I worked until the February 2022, when I came back home just a day before war. And this is when my professional career stopped, because as all Ukrainians, I was trapped with war. I was, like a lot of my friends thought that I was paranoid and that I worried too much. But in 2014, when I got the news about Crimea and Donbass, I returned to Kharkiv as soon as I could. But then I couldn't find myself there, and I didn't know how I could be useful there. And I had my conservationist war in Russia, so I came back. But since then, I kept track on what was going on, and I really worried about Ukraine. And I mean, I was surprised when people didn't take the warnings seriously. And but there were a couple of times when Ukraine worried or Russia threatened with accumulation of the tanks near the Ukrainian border in between 2014 and 2022. So I assume that some people hoped that it would be just another threatening, but not an action. But I really worried, and then the Western media and Western politicians started to publicly warn Ukraine about the probable attack. And I knew that it would not likely to start during the Olympic Games in China, but I really worried it would start right after, especially having the memory of how it started in 2014, right after the Sochi, the Olympic Games in Sochi in Russia. There are good people. They could be Russians, Ukrainians, or whoever. There are bad people. There could be Russians, Ukrainians, whoever. When soldiers, and I understand people who are fighting, and I understand the state, their state, and when they say that there are no good Russians, I will ask them, okay, we are in Kharkiv. I know that the nearest village to Kharkiv from the north, which was occupied on February 24, the first day of war, I know that there are enough people there who were ready to collaborate with Russians. And I know that all men from that village who used to be in the army, used to be in the past, or who served at the customs, just as customs officers, they were taken the same day for a reason, because they were locals who would point out to Russians the addresses of those people. So what do you do? Like, how can we approach this issue? This issue? Just I can accept this division. You know? Yes, my case is different. There are some people who do not support war, but they don't do much, and I know why they don't do much, because they've tried to do it in the beginning of war and they were punished. And just I'm ready to think that they will start doing it as soon as the power, the civil power, the society is ready. There must be something. That there's just not enough people who would be ready to push to do something. So they're kind of standing by, but I hope they will start doing this. And also, I know a certain amount of people, of Russians, who left the country, and they are fighting for a new Russia. They're doing what they can. They cannot return to Russia. It's not only their lives changed. They had to take all their relatives because their families would be in danger. And they're doing a lot of things. And I know Russians who donate to Ukrainian army, or used to be Russians, because some people rejected the citizenship, Russian citizenship. So I still have hope. In the past, I was almost proud to say that I didn't want to be involved in politics and I didn't want to know about the politics. And it was a big, big mistake. And again, this war convinced me that we all have to think about it and we all have to act. And I understood, as probably many people did, that we didn't, for years, we didn't pay attention to the signs and warnings we had to pay attention to. And unfortunately, we live in the world where it doesn't matter whether we want it or not, we have to follow the politics. People are very different in Ukraine. A lot of people were preparing, like almost preparing, not almost, literally preparing for war. I thought it was exaggeration, but at the same time, I was the most kind of alert person in my Moscow circle of colleagues who didn't pay attention to what was going on at all and thought it was very much exaggerated. Yeah, it was upsetting, and again, in Russia, most of colleagues would react to what I was saying the way that, we understand you're from Ukraine, especially after the 2014, they would be saying, we understand you're Ukrainian, but you exaggerate, and it shouldn't be this way. We don't see things going, rolling down towards the catastrophe. And they just were not ready to stop and think about the situation and just kept their normal life. And I honestly, I don't know if I can blame them, because I understand that probably I should have done more. I raised those questions, but in the end, what did I do? I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit different, and I think people don't want to believe in really bad things until they happen. You don't, and even people who live in the areas, in the seismically active areas, they don't want to talk about the possible earthquake. They just cover themselves and they don't want to think. It will be smart if they do something and kind of do something preventive. But at the same time, it's such a common thing to kind of try to turn away from the problem. I don't think that for me it was more difficult than for other people, because it doesn't matter how you accomplished or what you do. It's all about attachments, one. Then it's to a large degree about family. My family was in Ukraine. If I had family in Moscow, maybe I would act differently. I don't think I would. I'm sure I would not stay in Russia, but I don't think I would come to Ukraine. If I had children, I would probably just move them and immigrate to Europe or United States. But
many other people did
but my home and my family was in Kharkiv. What choices did I have? And it's not something that you analyze and think whether you want to do it and whether to do it or when to do it. As soon as you think that something can happen, you just go. You better be there with your family and be ready. I ended up working with art through a chain of people and my colleagues and friends, or the friends of my colleagues. And actually, it wasn't directly through my colleagues, but it was through an extremely complicated chain. It was my colleagues, friends of my colleagues, friends of friends of my colleagues, which came back to my colleagues. The world is small, and it's amazing how people unite, and then you realize that you know someone through someone. So in the end, I will not be able to kind of rebuild all the chain, but in the end, it was someone who I knew from the WWF, who was a friend of art, who connected us. So the first time I talked to Art was through the Zoom call, and I explained what I was doing, and Art told me what they were doing, and immediately Art trusted me for some reason. I don't know how it works, but Art trusted me and suggested to participate in what Assist Ukraine was doing, and actually sent me some money, which I used for the aid for the military. And then, of course, we started to communicate, and then I found out more about what Assist Ukraine was doing. And of course, Art told me how Assist Ukraine started, and I was amazed how much dedication these people, the founders and co-founders of Assist Ukraine, had for Ukrainian people. And then there was that bond that tied us up together, and we just loved to work with each other and became really, really good friends and a good team. And Art introduced me to several Ukrainian people with whom he had already worked before I joined them. And these girls were amazing. And since then, since summer 2022. It's mostly because I'm located in Kharkiv. So I'm the one who interacts directly with the people who need aid. So it's me who and Art totally trusted, like this is the most important thing. Art said that you are there, you talk to those people, so you have to make decisions if you want to help quickly. And this is how Assist Ukraine co-founders decided that I can make decisions for Assist Ukraine, and which is called to be director, I assume. I wouldn't say it changed much. Again, because the way we started, Art trusted me to decide how to spend the money he gave me. And now it's just the amount of help has grown. The way Assist Ukraine works, I can't say it changed much. The type of aid we deliver hasn't changed. From the beginning, Art trusted me to decide what to buy and how to distribute it. Just that the amount of funds that I deal with now has grown. And I've started to participate in public awareness events and fundraising events together with Art. When people want to help, and when people give money, I think they have a right. It's their money, and they have right to decide whether they want them to be spent on something certain. And I get frustrated sometimes, but just because of the multitasking. But otherwise, if I know that there is a request for what those people are ready to give money for, even if this is not for the military units, or if this is not for what we mainly do, I will work with those people. And it will be sometimes it's not through Assist Ukraine. It's just help comes from multiple sources. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's just some kind of products or clothes, or what could be anything, literally anything. If I know there is someone who needs it, and if I'm capable to build the logistics, I will do it. If I can't, I reject. I often reject and say, please find someone else. I will not be able to effectively distribute what you offer, or I will not be able to spend the money you want to give the way you want it to be spent. So please find someone else. Or often I can say, here's the foundation which deals with this area, scope. And then I just redirect